I understand why they are like so secretive about it. They're trying to do what is called security through obscurity. Like making security changes and keeping them hidden so bad actors can't exploit them. And considering how, you know, rarely TF2 is updated, it makes sense for them to do that like that, but I would prefer if they were like more open to community suggestions and to community contributions. You know, I was talking about earlier about how there's nothing much going on for TF2 in the last few days, but actually the game got updated, I think like 2 or 3 times in a row, you know. I was actually a bit confused by that. It caught me by surprise because I'm not used to having to update my servers 2 or 3 days in a row. So I think that was a very nice thing from Valve, you know, to update the game like they did. Yeah, I'm playing rubbish here as engineer. And what I think was the most interesting thing is that they again noted on the patch notes that they made improvements, you know, security and performance improvements or something like that. Tyler McVicker even made a video the other day talking about it, that he doesn't believe Valve did anything, and because he could not find any information, you know, on the game files or anything like that about what changed, and I get his skepticism. I think it is actually a good thing to be skeptical about these sorts of changes. Oh, come on. They're gonna roll us, aren't they? Already have Misa here. Okay, got you, but I died afterwards. At least I managed to kill Misa there. But yeah, skepticism is good, but I was actually very happy to see that on the patch notes, you know. I made a video last year when they started noting that improvements to security and stuff like that, about the Steam Datagram Relay, the SDR system that they implemented. That's kind of like a gaming VPN that got... come on. Okay, let's do this your way. Yeah, I should not have done that his way, but okay. But yeah, when they started implementing those changes, and I have an in-depth video here on the channel if you want to check it out. Just look for that, Valve's VPN for gaming or something like that. You'll find it. And it's probably something like that they kept updating, you know. I think they probably made some backend changes to make it a bit harder for people to DDoS casual servers, you know, or perhaps they've added some sort of simple and like not very effective but simple check just to kind of hinder the bots a little bit or something like that. And although we need a lot more than that, I think that every little bit of improvements that they can make, that Valve can make to the game, is welcome, you know. So I'm always happy to see that coming to fruition. I made a video in the end of last year talking about how that's the sort of thing I want for TF2 this year, you know. Like small patches that improve things, you know, one step after the other, one step at a time. And if we can see more of that, I think it will actually be a positive thing. It's better than just adding cosmetics, you know, for sure. They are probably getting ready for the next cosmetic case pack. I think it will be in June or July, the summer case they usually do it. I think I'll go with the mini sentry now. I think that's why they started updating the game again, you know, just to make sure things are okay for the next cosmetic launch, for the next cosmetic case. But I was actually very happy for the change, you know. Niantic saying they also made a hotfix to add localization files. That's probably the case, you know. What do you fellas think about these small security improvements? What do you think they changed? You know, what is your guess about it? I'd be interested in knowing your opinions on that. Do you think that actually means nothing, you know, and they didn't change anything? I really doubt that. I think they probably did something on the back end for servers. You know, perhaps something that's not on the code that's distributed on Steam, but something that is like something that pertains only to the data center in which Valve hosts their servers, you know, something like that. It could be something like that. So that's why probably Tyler McVicker didn't, poor soldier, didn't find anything on his data mining. But I was actually happy to see that, and I can see here that Misa is being a super Chad, using the best weapon for engineer, the Ponsel. Only skilled engineers use the Ponsel. So props to you, Misa. That's a very nice weapon choice. Pretty cool. And I say, in my opinion, they are doing a good job. I think their strategy is to do random patches so cheaters cannot update bots consistently. Yeah, I think that's the idea, Nyan, and I get what you're coming from, where you're coming from, but I don't think they are actually succeeding in that, you know. For that to work, I think they would have to update the game. Mictory is pocketing me. Thank you so much, Mictory. But for that to work like that, I think they would have to update the game a lot more often than they actually do right now, you know. I don't think that we are getting that practical effect of that. But I think that's the idea, and you know, I understand why they are like so secretive about it. They're trying to do what is called security through obscurity. Like making security changes and keeping them hidden so bad actors can't exploit them. And considering how, you know, rarely TF2 is updated, it makes sense for them to do that, like that, but I would prefer if they were like more open to community suggestions and to community contributions on the security of the game, you know. For that, they would obviously have to make the game open source, and that would come with a whole can of worms, you know, a whole list of problems. But in the long run, it could make TF2 more impervious to these sorts of bad actors. You know, it is no surprise why open source projects often are more secure than closed source ones, and that's because with more people checking the code and making suggestions to what can change, how and why, the code over time gets better, you know, gets more secure and more consistent. I managed to kill Misa there with the Righteous Bison. I'm sorry for the taunt, Misa, but I had to do it. I hope you understand it. But yeah, I managed to kill someone with the Bison. You know, in regards to these changes, I don't think this time it was something very dramatic that they changed into the game, because source mod didn't break this time. I think about a year and a half ago, I even made a rant about it, when Valve made one of these secret security changes that broke source mod for a couple of days. And for those of you who don't know, source mod is a mod we use on servers to get additional features like reserved slots, or the admin menu that we have here to change server, ban players, you know, stuff like that. Change server, no. To change maps and that sort of functionality. And I made a rant about it, I remember that, because I was kind of upset that they broke compatibility with source mod, but you know, in a couple of hours the bots were back into the server, so whatever they changed didn't really work that much for too long. I think it was like one day without bots that the game had. And source mod was a bit harder to fix, I've heard. So that's kinda lame. But this time that didn't happen, so that's why I think the changes weren't really too significant, you know. Too significant, that's what I mean to say. It was probably something a lot simpler only in the backend, you know, not actually in the code for TF2. And you know, about the data mining, you know, aspect of this last update that I was talking about, you know, that Tyler McVicker said he could not find any information on the game files or anything like that. You know, sometimes I like to think that Valve is getting better, you know, at keeping information from people trying to snoop into the game like that. You know, not in the sense that they will actively like try to hide everything, but in the sense that they are aware of what they are leaking, when and how. And sometimes, you know, they leak stuff just to mess with people or just to give them empty hopes and dreams, you know, for them to be heartbroken later. I don't know, I think sometimes Valve has a sort of twisted pleasure into doing that. So that's why they will leak, for example, a lot of information about their supposed upcoming game that will probably never get released. And I hope I am wrong about this, but it would not surprise me if this, like... Okay, let's see if I can do this jump. I designed the map for this. Yeah, okay, managed to do it. It would not surprise me if they like do that intentionally, just to mess with people and to laugh at the expense of people that data mine, you know, and look for secrets on their leaked game files. Like, haha, look at them, they think we are still working on that old project. It was funny that like you, Robert, leaked those old files for them to speculate upon and build their hopes up. They will be so disappointed later. Ha 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 ha. You know, something like that. I think you get the point. But I hope to be wrong about this. I really hope so. It's just that I have the feeling that's the case. And perhaps in regards to TF2, you know, since they are not really working on anything related to the game, they kinda know that the community right now has no hopes and dreams. So it's not fun anymore to toy with us like that in TF2. Perhaps that's why he could not find anything in the game code. So yeah.